artificial intelligence. Are we all going to be replaced by AI? Or is this just a complete nothing burger? What is going on with AI? Jason Hall, Jeff Santorini is going to be first here. AI, go.
I have a hot take on AI.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it's going to be really important in certain places, but it's not going to replace us, because I just don't think
replace us as content creators.
All right.
Who is
so
us? When you say us?
Maybe this is the musician in me, or a person who's an appreciator of art. Yeah, we should get some music in the background while I talk. It should swell up slowly from. No, I mean,
lots of crescendos.
I think there's a lot of places we're going to see AI put certain job sectors sort of like, out of business for humans, right? But I don't think it's ever going to replace the essential things that it is to be human, right? Not to sound too cheesy or anything, but the idea of like creating art, creating things that people care about, that human being thing, I don't think will ever be created by AI. And if we get to that point, it's scary, right? So
all fucked.
Yeah, basically. So I could see a world in which AI replaces a lot of different jobs that we currently have human beings doing right now.
Give me some examples.
So I think anything that's sort of like data processing, manual input stuff that people do on computers now, right? So number crunching, aspects of accounting.
Repetitive and mundane.
Yeah. I think things like that can be replaced by AI or replaced by machines and things like that. But this whole like dystopian future where everything's going to be taken over by AI, I don't see it. That's how I think about it in terms of like the humanity. I don't think is ever going to be taken out of humans.
I know that we have some AI tools that are related to content creation. Some of those are digital content, like image content creation. Some of those are video content creation. Some of those are text content creation. I think that the disruption is going to be who can take advantage of that tool. So if you look back at pictures of like the back office of a marketing firm in New York in 1950, right? Like kind of the Mad Men thing. Most of those employees were like literally taking pieces of paper and then putting them on a balance sheet and doing stuff that has completely been replaced by computers. Yeah. So who was disrupted?
Things that automation and software have already replaced.
Right. So the disruption was the thing that you were doing was not using your mind to do something. It was just putting this thing from here to here, and a computer can do that. I think there's going to be a lot of disruption coming from AI. I would maybe say it's more than what you maybe think, but I don't know exactly what points I'm like passionate about. I sort of try to think about it as like, how can this make me more productive in what I do? And one of the things that I have always struggled with is my brain works in pictures, but my medium is words. So does AI get us to the point where I can take what's in my brain and create a picture to show what I'm talking about? Because a lot of times, like the things that I want to explain, it's like I want a picture to show this thing that I'm talking about, and I don't know how.
So you need one of those. You need one of those Elon Musk microchips in your head.
Yes.
Right.
But I don't have the skills, the graphic design skills to do that thing. Right. Like I can make a really crappy looking sketch, but I don't have the skills or the money to then pay somebody to, take this idea and then turn it into a beautiful image. I don't know. Maybe AI is something where that will be useful in turning, hey, this is my investment thesis, and now it's going to go from my brain to a picture, and the barriers to go there are falling down. So that's my general thoughts. Seena.
Yeah, I think. I'm kind of thinking about I think it's things we can't think of right now. Like to your point of what was being done in the back offices of places, architecture offices 50 years ago were everyone on drafting boards and drawing, and that's what you did. And so if one were to like, it's so hard to think about the things you take 1000% for granted. And it's some of those things that I think will start to flow into that. I mean, and this is maybe a little more robotics than AI, but I cover GXO Logistics as one of my tickers, and something they've done one thing it's a cobot. It's a thing that a person in a warehouse takes along with them, and that helps them do their work. Another thing that's somewhat, I think, has a little bit of AI in it is they have this is really mundane, but it's a cardboard box maker that it can, you send you send in stuff that's coming, and it builds boxes specifically for that item, or to fit within a range for a group of items that are coming. Versus what we saw happening in the pandemic was Amazon running out of boxes. So you would order a USB cable, and it would come in like a TV size box, because they just, it was so specialized, or not specialized, but it was so generalized that, you just had to buy like 1,000 of these, 10,000 of those, but it never matched up, or it couldn't match up with your inventory.
It's the hot dog and hot dog bun.
Yeah.
Problem.
Yeah. The 8 hot dogs and the 10 buns. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think AI, I see there are things that are coming, but the things that are actually going to probably happen out of it are things we can't really even conceptualize yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that example you just gave is exactly the kind of disruption that I do think will happen, right? Places where computers can automate or make decisions quicker and more efficient. Even like what you just said made me think about inventory for companies in general. Like the fact that you could go to the grocery store, buy a box of cereal off the shelf, and there's some AI or algorithm somewhere in their system that triggers something somewhere else that says, okay, we're at that point where we have to ship more Rice Krispies to, Costco or whatever it is, right? So like, I think those decisions, those things that, can be automated, and sort of machine learning and artificial intelligence can make some of those, decisions. I think I agree. That's exactly where we're going to see more and more disruption.
Well, things like AI being able to to extrapolate to the point of ridiculousness. This idea you're talking about with like Rice Krispies is like having systems that are big enough and smart enough and have access to the data enough that, like, when enough people add Rice Krispies to their digital grocery list, like a week before the demand even happens,
right?
Like that's the level of potential that's there. I think one of the things that I think is really compelling to me about thinking about AI is it really, to circle back to some things that Travis was talking about earlier about like Rive and the idea of like disruption, is thinking about things in ways that the existing systems and entrenched businesses can't even conceptualize it, right? That's one of the things I think AI can be really, really good at, because you think about some of like the most innovative people in history,
right?
Like Steve Jobs, like he's renowned for having, when they were talking about, something about a product or a feature or something, and he said, people don't know what the hell they want, right? Consumers don't know what they want. I'm not listening to consumers.
He's not going to ask. He's not going to do a survey and ask what a consumer wants, because they don't know what they want if it's around the corner.
Right. And it's Henry Ford probably never said it, but supposedly said, if I had listened to what people wanted, I would have made more buggy whips, right? Things like that. And I think that's the key is, and what you were talking about, Seena, is like, we don't even know what the questions are to answer when it comes to AI. But I think broadly thinking about AI when it comes to replacing us, right, as content creators, right? I think what it's going to come down to is, and it's the same with us as it is with, like, what's the art, the really popular art AI, like Dall-E is one, and then there's a couple other ones. These are consumed by people based on their discretionary interests, and it's the same with us, right? So at the end of the day, whether something like Dolly becomes like a major generator of art into the art market is going to be a product of what people want to buy. And I think by and large, there will be people that are interested in buying art that's made by AI that's very interesting. And there's going to be people that want to buy art that's made by people, right? And doing the things that we do, some of the content that is created by people now, whether it's an article about a company, a stock ticker, or it's, a story on right? E's website, entertainment about celebrities. Some of that shit is going to get commoditized because it should be generated by AI because it's mundane and it's repetitive and it's just hitting on things that you don't need a person to do.
What will never lose value, I'm going to try to paraphrase what you're saying.
Yeah.
What won't lose value is the things that where you go, oh, wow, I never would have thought of that.
I think that's large. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
yeah, I think so. But
we sat down on this couch today and literally decided, let's just turn a recording on and talk like we do when we're together. And none of this was scripted other than having a couple questions to generate conversation. And I can't imagine a world where, and maybe that's me being naive, but I can't imagine a world where like AI could add the human aspect of like us reacting to the things we're saying and having that change our minds and bring us in different directions and that kind of a thing.
I'm gonna give to try to piggyback on that again and take the useful piece of it.
Yeah.
I think where AI could potentially be useful is, and I think we've all done this, writing, right? Where you go, here's this thing that I think in my mind, and now my job for the next 90 minutes as I write this article is to pull in the data and the words and the information that I could literally pull out in bullet points, and maybe that just gets automated.
Yeah.
And
right.
the process of going from like the idea still comes from my brain, but the process of going from that idea to there being a publishable piece of content that somebody then can read that has the information that is applicable and all that stuff is automated.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be potentially really interesting, but there again, the value is not in this maybe not the right way to say it. The most value in that supply chain is, do you have the idea and do you have the like thought process? Not can you, because I've done some of these like write an AI article, and it's actually fascinating to see like they will pull the same data that I would pull if I was writing an article about, I think I did one about like the NBA salary cap. And they would pull the same data, but they get like all the details wrong.
Right.
And like the argument wrong.
Yeah.
But it would be fascinating if I could just go like, here's the stuff that I have in my head that I have 10, 20 years of experience that is what is creating this idea, and the kind of legwork of creating the piece of content, whether it's an image or an article or whatever, is then automated. I don't know. That's interesting.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I do think at some point, and I don't know when it's going to happen. Of course I am. But it was the Turing test, right? It's the ability. Yep. At some point, there will be AI that is virtually indistinguishable from human beings. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. And I think there is a very good probability it happens in our lifetimes. I really do. But I think what it's going to come down to, like, again, for the replacing of human work, is it's going to come down to two things. It's going to be the work that businesses can't find people to do at the whatever rate they're willing to pay, right? So there's the commodity stuff. And then there's going to be the things that people are willing, things that people only want humans to do.
Right.
I think that's really what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. So maybe to go back a little bit to what Travis was saying, I'm wondering about the finding the right balance and the impact of how that helper Like how much does the helper influence the maker? Basically, a little bit of like a Heisenberg uncertainty. Like yes, it would be great to do that, but how much of just pulling together that outline is part of what makes it makes the writing better of what you come out with, and how much of that repetitive work, putting in that work of pulling the pieces together, figuring out, well, what do I need as an outline, or what are the framework pieces I need to start kind of building this, and how much of that is influencing what comes out on the other end as the product. And to a certain degree too, if you're going towards an AI, how much could that begin to create basically like a consistency across that? If you have some AI that helps you write articles and it's going out to 50,000 users, and it's probably learning as it goes, how much is it changing the writing and the kind of core basis, like the core work of those writers, and therefore potentially impacting their product on that same time, and maybe pulling a little bit more out of the process, or the humanity out of that process?